chemistry students, so I'm going to spend some time going over the study guide, and then I read through some of your exit tickets, and there are a couple things that you guys wanted me to go ahead and to review. So I'm going to go ahead and to kind of talk about and spend some more time on where I'm getting these numbers from, how we're going ahead and how are we solving these problems and all of that. So for the first problem, what I want to reference is the chart that I went ahead and that I showed you guys last time. So last time I went ahead and we talked a little bit about some of these limiting reagents. We talked about mole conversions and all of that. So let me just find my page. So we talked about basically this chart and how this chart works, right? And for the first part of your study guide, so for like 1 through 5, it goes ahead and it focuses on like this side of the chart. So it focuses on this whole side of the chart. And in this side of the chart, the things that you guys will see is that usually they're asking you to go ahead and to start at like one of these things. So then, for example, for this one, they're asking you guys to go ahead and to start at particles. And then from particles, go ahead and to kind of figure out, okay, how do I get to liters? How do I get to mass? And all of that. So those are going to be like the different things that they go ahead and they ask you. Those are going to be some of the things that you guys are going to be looking for in this. And you guys will notice that in order to go ahead and to go from like a mass of one thing to particles to liters, the thing that you have to pass through is that you have to go ahead and you have to get moles in the middle, right? So you guys need to go ahead and you need to get to moles, and then from moles, you guys can get it to the other one, right? So those are some of like the big like takeaways that I want you guys to kind of focus on. Another big thing that I get asked about is how do I know when I'm supposed to use like the certain numbers and all of that? And it depends on when they ask you. So if they go ahead and if they're talking about volume, right, then I'm going to know that I'm going to use my 22.4 liters, right? If I'm going ahead and they're talking about particles, right, I have to use 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So that's going to be like the big thing that I use, right? So it really depends on what they go ahead and what they ask you is going to be determining what you are going to use in each of these cases, right? The biggest thing that I want you guys to kind of notice is that we only use a periodic table for grams. So if your problem does not have grams in it, you do not need to be using the periodic table. Now, most problems do have some sort of grams in it, so you'll use it for like 80% of the problems, right? But not always. So that's kind of one of the things that I want you guys to kind of realize as we're going ahead and as we're going through this. So I'm going to take you guys back into our study guide, and then we are going to go ahead and we're going to solve some of these problems with you. Okay. So for the first one, I have 23 grams of CoCl2, right? And I need to go ahead and I need to figure out how many molecules I'm going to go ahead and how many molecules I'm looking for, right? So since I'm going ahead and since I'm talking about molecules, right, I know that in the end, right, I'm going to need molecules here, right? So I got to have molecules, and that's the thing that I have to go ahead and that I have to end up with, right? And if you guys go ahead and if we look back at our chart, whoops, wrong one. If we go ahead and if we look back at our chart, what you guys will see is that in order to go ahead and we're starting at grams, right? So I'm starting here, and I need to go ahead and I need to get to particles, right? So the first thing that I need to do is to go ahead and go mass to moles, and then moles to particles. So those are going to be the steps that I'm going to be taking. So I go ahead and I am going to go back down in here. Right, so my first thing is that I want moles, and then from moles, I'm able to go ahead and I'm able to convert all of these things. So this should be right here. 1 mole of CoCl2, right? And then I should have grams of CoCl2. Right, and then right here, I'm going to want molecules. Let me change my pen so that it is thinner. And here I'm going to go ahead and I want 1 mole of COCl2. Right, so those are the things that I'm going to be looking for. So the big thing that I know is that my molecule conversion, if I look at my chart, is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So that is going to be my molecule conversion. And let me write a good 6 on there. Right, to go ahead and to get the grams, right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the periodic table. You have to remember that grams is the only time that I use the periodic table. So I look up cobalt, and if I look up cobalt on my periodic table, you see that it's 58.69. So I'm going to just say 59. Right, and I have 2 Cl, so I should have 35 plus 35. So that is what I should get on there. So if I go ahead and if I add those things together, I should get the following. I don't know why this thing's not working. Okay, 35 times 2 plus 59. So you should get 129 grams. And again, I get that from going ahead and adding all of these things in there, and that's how I get my 129 grams, right? Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide those things and multiply them by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it on Desmos because Desmos is probably the way to go with this. So I'm going to go 23 times 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, right? And when I go ahead and when I do this, I should get that. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take my answer and I'm going to divide it by 129. And then I should get 1.07 times 10 to the 23rd power. Most common mistake that people make is that they just multiply the 23 times the 6.022 and they forget to divide by the 129. So don't forget to divide by the 129 or else you guys won't get your right answer. Okay, so next one, it says I have 3.2 moles of H3PO4 and I got to go ahead and I got to convert it to grams. So if you guys go ahead and if you guys look at the chart, it's actually just a one-step conversion that you guys are doing at the end of this one. So if you guys go ahead and if you guys look at this, right, we go from grams to moles, right? So super simple, just a one-step deal. Depending on the thing that we want is going to be the thing that goes on the top. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to do 3.2 moles, right? And then I'm going to go H3PO4 to grams. So I need grams of H3PO4, right? And in 1 mole of H3PO4, how many grams do I have? Okay, so again, since I'm using grams, I have to go ahead and I have to figure out how much does this thing all weigh. So each H, that weighs 1, and I have 3 of them. Each P, it goes ahead and phosphorus weighs about 31, right? And then oxygen weighs about 16, and I have 4 of them, right? So I should have 3 and then 31, and that should be, I forgot, 16 times 4, which is going to be 64. So I go ahead and I add those things together, and you should get 98 grams, and then you're going to multiply 98 times 3.2, and you should get 313.6 grams of H3PO4. So that is what you guys should get on there. Okay, the next one is 2.2 moles of NH4 2 to grams. So it's the same deal. We're going from moles to grams. So I'm going to have 2.2 moles of NH4 2. And I want grams and I want moles at the bottom because I want my moles to go ahead and to cancel, right? So 1 mole of NH4, 2, right? NH4, 2. Okay, so first thing that I got to do is that I got to break this thing down. So I have nitrogen and I have 2 nitrogens. So nitrogen each weighs 14 and there's 2 because I'm distributing out this thing, right? So I should have like 28 on there. And then I have hydrogen and each hydrogen weighs 1 and I have 8 of them. So I should have like 36 grams, right? So 36 times 2.2 should get you about 79.2 grams of NH4, 2. Okay, so the next one, they're asking us how many molecules are in 4.5 grams of NH4, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with 4.9 grams. I'm going to switch this pen because this is going to be a little longer. Okay, so 4.5 grams of NH4SO2, right? The first step is that I'm going to go to moles first, and then I'm going to try to take the grams out. And then once I have moles, I want to go to molecules, right? And then I would be able to find my answer there, right? So in order to go ahead and again to fill in this grams of NH4SO2, right, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to figure out how much does each of these things weigh. So for my nitrogen weighs 14. My hydrogen weighs, I have 4 of them, so I'm going to have 4 there. My sulfur is going to be 32. And my oxygen is going to be 16, and I'm going to have 2 of those things on there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add those things together. And then I'm going to go ahead and to kind of go through these. So 14 plus 4 plus 32 plus 32. And you should get 82 grams in 1 mole. And then in 1 mole, there is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles, right? So I'm going to multiply and divide these across. So I go 4.5 times 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. And then I am going to close that deal, and then I'm going to divide it, my answer, by 82. And I should get 3.30 times 10 to the 22nd power, right? And again, don't forget, anytime you have grams, that is when I go ahead and when I break down the molecule and I figure out how much that thing weighs, okay? So the next one, it's asking us how many liters of N2 do you have in 7.9 times 10 to the 30th particles, right? So since they're giving us this number, this is the number that we're going to go ahead and that's what we're going to start with. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start with 7.9 times 10 to the 30th particles, right? And then I go ahead and I need moles, because I got to go moles to liters, right? So I need 1 mole. And then I am going to make sure that I have liters at the top because that is the thing that I want, right? I want my moles to cancel, so moles are going to be at the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do these conversions. So in order to go ahead into how many particles are in 1 mole, right, that's going to be the Avogadro's number, which is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles, right? And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to convert to liters. So I need 22.4 liters in 1 mole, right? So you see that I have like a multi-step thing going here. Then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to multiply across, and I'm going to divide. So I'm going to get 7.9. 7.9 times 10 to the 30th power. And then I'm going to multiply that by 22.4. And I should get like 7.9 times 10 to the 22nd. 32nd, my bad. And then I'm going to take that answer that I got by multiplying the stuff across. I'm going to divide it by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. Oops, I forgot the decimal. Oops. Times 10 to the 23rd. And you guys should get kind of a big number on there. You guys can get this number. So Desmos spits this out. 95348.8.4. This is a 5 and this is a 3. Or you might get a number that looks like this, which is 2.994 times 10 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 power times 10 to the 8th power liters, right? So that would be the thing that you guys get on here. And what you realize is that when we're using liters and when we're using particles, you guys don't have to go ahead and you guys don't have to use the you don't have to use how much this thing weighs, right? Because you guys already have conversion factors for them, so you guys use them. So you only go ahead and you find out how much it weighs using the periodic table when you have grams. And that's like the big mistake that a lot of people are making. So just make sure that you guys are using the conversions that are given to you guys and only use grams when it's necessary, right? So check if the problem gives you grams or you need to go ahead and you guys need to go to grams, right? That's going to be like the only time in which you guys are going ahead and you guys are adding up how much things weigh. Okay, guys, so this is part 1, and then we're going to get into part 2 in a little bit.